Good morning. Hello, everyone. This is Tim Teraway from VCGI and Ivan Brown, also from VCGI. And we're going to cover a half-hour overview of the GeoPackage and question whether or not it's the GIS file format of the future. So with that, if you have any questions at the end, just save them for the end. And I'll hand it over to Ivan.
Thank you, Tim. Again, I'm Ivan Brown. I am the GIS Database Administrator here at VCGI, and over the next half hour, I'm going to explain what the GeoPackage is, what it can do for you, where it can be used, how to create a GeoPackage, and how to read one. This is an important topic because the GeoPackage is a modern open standard GIS data format. It has a lot of potential uses. It has potential use for simple data provision. It has potential with transporting data, use of data in applications, and in some cases, a data storage solution. So the Open Geospatial Consortium has coalesced something called the GeoPackage Encoding Standard. It's a standard that specifies how data is stored in a database. It specifies how vectors are stored, rasters, non-spatial data, and it also has a capacity for database extensions. And as long as a database has these specifications met and it's stored in a container, and when I say container, I'm talking about a SQLite container, you have a GeoPackage. SQLite is an open source database format. It's very versatile. If you have a smartphone, you likely have some SQLite databases residing on your phone. They're all over the place, behind the scene. It's very, very prevalent. So again, it's file-based, and as long as the data conforms to the standard and it's in the SQLite container, you have yourself a GeoPackage. Again, it's an open format and platform independent, again, making it very versatile and portable. And because it's a database and can be a relational database, it has potential for going beyond just rows and columns of data. Integrity assertions can be applied to the data. The possibilities are only really limited to your imagination when it comes to getting into the database and extending it beyond rows, columns, polygons, lines, points, and etc. The GeoPackage has a home on the web at geopackage.org. Here's a little look at what's under the hood. If you think about a file geodatabase or a geodatabase in general, there are a lot of internal system tables that we really don't normally need to even know about. For example, there might be tables that keep track of what layers were edited and when, this sort of thing, and the front end of the file geodatabase doesn't need to show you all of that. Normally, you just need to see that you have, for example, a polygon feature class, maybe a couple of tables, a topology object, and you interact with it that way. And the same concept is here with the GeoPackage. Under the hood, there are a lot of internal system tables and triggers that make it function as it functions, and you don't really need to get into this unless you really like getting deep below the hood and working on the engine and going beyond what comes out of the box. Again, it's really good at collecting and storing simple vector features. The GeoPackage can store a non-spatial table, and it can store rasters. When it stores rasters, it stores them in a WMTS-based mechanism. Most of the attendees here are very familiar with the shapefile format, I have no doubt. And if you've worked with shapefiles for very long, you know that the field name limit on a shapefile is 10 characters or less. Shapefiles are also limited to how much data they can store in terms of megabytes or gigs. It's a 2 gig limit, and with the big data that we have these days, it's not uncommon to come close to that limit. The GeoPackage can grow way beyond that, up to 140,000 gigabytes. And I don't think that we should try to max it out like that. Most computers, desktop computers, probably won't handle it. If you do want to push the limit as an experiment, let us know what happens. However, for 2, 4, 6 gigs of data, this is a potential solution here for storing data in a portable, platform-independent format. The GeoPackage has the quintessential field types: text, 64-bit integers, decimals, and dates. And the GeoPackage, again, it's a database. It's a SQLite database, which is open source. You can connect to your GeoPackage as a SQLite database and have direct SQL access to it, just like you could other databases. It's also extendable. There are registered extensions that have been adopted. A community can also develop on top of the GeoPackage and make its own extension. Some expected questions here. So one is, can the GeoPackage do everything that a file geodatabase can do? No, not out of the box. If you want to engineer something similar, and if you have the time, maybe. File geodatabases have been around a long time. They have a lot of capabilities, topologies, networks, integrity assertions, etc. And so on the flip side, the next question here is, can a file geodatabase do everything that a GeoPackage can do? And I say no to this because although the file geodatabase is very versatile and it can even be opened up in open source software, it doesn't allow direct SQL access like the GeoPackage does. And another question is the GeoPackage more modern than a shapefile? In my opinion, yes. So the shapefile requires that we get a medley of files together. You have your DBF file, your .shp file. In some cases, you have 5, 6, or 7 files that you have to bundle together and maybe zip up to send to someone. And for entry-level users, there's confusion about this thing called the shapefile. It's actually not just a file, but a set of files that makes a file. With the GeoPackage, the data is stored in one file. It has a .gpkg file extension. That's it, one file, and it can store more than one layer. You can put 2 or 3 layers or more in there. You can have non-spatial tables in there. If you want to insert a README table into the GeoPackage for the recipient to use, that would be very easy to do. GeoPackage can be used in QGIS software. I've used it in ArcGIS Pro, ArcGIS Desktop. And really, any client that can connect to a SQLite database can tap into GeoPackage data. The client would need to know what to do with the geometry. However, as long as you can connect, can get to the data and do what you need to do. I'm going to go through 4 demonstrations with GeoPackages. First, I'm going to create one in QGIS, and then I'm going to query against that GeoPackage with a database client. Then I'm going to add a raster to a GeoPackage in ArcGIS Desktop, and finally, I'm going to read the GeoPackage in ArcGIS Pro. Over to QGIS. So the canvas is mine right now. I'm going to create a brand new GeoPackage by going to the Layer menu, Create Layer, New GeoPackage, Layer. You can either create a layer in a pre-existing GeoPackage or create a new GeoPackage database right here instantly. I'm going to browse to a folder to give the GeoPackage a home. Going to give the GeoPackage a name. I'm going to model some tents for a hypothetical event here on the Capitol grounds. Modeling tents with polygons. So it's a polygon layer. I'm going to give it a Vermont state plane projection. Right here in the GUI, I can start creating fields right away. It's very nice. I'm going to add a description field. We're storing information about these tents. And I'll make a couple of tents. I'll put one over here. And I'll put a rock band in this one. And I'll put an information tent over here. And I'm going to also go ahead and give this GeoPackage a non-spatial table. So it's not intuitive, but I am going through the layer menu again. And I'm going to call it a new GeoPackage layer, even though it's a table. The GUI still works. I'm going to browse to the GeoPackage that I just made. And I'm going to call this table, I'm going to use this to track fees paid. Again, it's non-spatial. I'm going to add a few columns here, the organization's name. Maybe an amount due as a decimal, because we're dealing with dollars and cents, and amount paid. Dollars and cents. And okay. And I want to add this non-spatial table to the GeoPackage. All right, here it is in my layers pane. I'm going to open it up and add a little bit of data really quick. So organization 1, they had an amount due of $500, and they paid. And these folks, they had an amount due of $500, and they paid their bill already. Let folks owed a little bit more. They haven't paid yet. All right. So I'm going to go over to this database client for querying against the SQLite database. It's called DB Browser for SQLite, a little install that you can download. And I'm going to browse on over to the database that I just made. And again, event planning, GeoPackage. So again, I only made a layer in a table. However, under the hood, we have all of this stuff, triggers that make the database do what it does, tables that make it do what it does. I just want to write a query to see who hasn't paid yet. So it's the quintessential SQL. That table was called fee tracking. I want to know who didn't pay yet. I'm going to execute this. And as expected, we have one record. Going to move on over to ArcMap now and demonstrate adding a raster data set to the GeoPackage that I just made. And that's here in this toolbox. Add raster to GeoPackage tool. So I have a little sample ortho here, a TIFF that I'm going to use as an input. For the target, I'm going to browse or drag and drop the GeoPackage in, and keep this default name, and simply run this with some default settings. It's really exciting to have an open data format that can deal with vectors and rasters, as opposed to the shapefile that didn't do rasters. So there you go. The layer is now on my map, the ortho layer that I just brought in. And over here, you'll notice that I can browse right here in ArcMap. I can browse right into the GeoPackage, just like I can browse into anything else and take a look at what is there and bring it right on into the map. I'm going to move on now to ArcGIS Pro and add everything over there. I think I'll just go there, browse right on in there and find my GeoPackage. Here it is. I'm going to branch right off and then go in there and grab my tints, bring them onto the map. And why not go ahead and get an ortho while I'm there? So right here, again, in ArcGIS Pro, I have a GeoPackage layer, drawing, and labeled, and I can work with the data here just fine. I can open up my non-spatial table and work with it as well. I should tell you all that this presentation just really scratches the surface with the GeoPackage format and its possibilities. The software is always changing. There was a new service pack with ArcGIS Pro that came out recently. And as time goes on, I'm sure there will be more tools added to software, all of it really, for dealing with or working with geopackages. And there may even be some functionality with the GeoPackage that I'm not aware about as of yet. That's new, because again, its software is always changing. That concludes my demonstrations. We have about 8 minutes left budgeted for this webinar. We will go ahead and open the session up to questions.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, just use in the GoToWebinar dialog box the questions tab there and type in your question there, and we'll field them as they arrive. Should also make note that we've recorded this and we'll provide it after the fact on our YouTube channel, so you can come back and visit any of the things that Ivan was talking about as he was going through the demonstrations. So let us know if you have any questions. Looks like we have one here. What is the version of ArcGIS Desktop that can read GeoPackage, is the question.
I can tell you my version, and that is 10.6.1. That is what I'm running now. That is the version in which I have done this experiment. I don't know if earlier versions read it or not.
Okay. Let us know if there's any other questions that you have. I think I should note here, Ivan, if we're waiting for questions, sort of what this might look like for us at VCGI, thinking about this moving forward. We're not making any statements right now that we're going to start receiving or serving GeoPackage files, but it is something we talk about. So if you want to comment on that.
It is nice to look out to the horizon and beyond it and see trends. And this seems to be a data format that is in our future. And it's good to know what is going on out there. Now, as of right now, GeoPackage is not our default data provision format. However, it would behoove us as VCGI, the Center for Geographic Information, to learn about them and to use them to solve data problems. As challenges come up, it has potential, the GeoPackage potential for use. For example, our data keeps getting bigger and bigger. We get big data now, and sometimes downloads that we try to pre-package and send to someone, they really push the limit of what the shapefile can do. And historically, we have sliced and diced data a lot to serve it out, and perhaps in the future, with better internet and bigger data being more in the norm, perhaps there will be more GeoPackage use in the future.
So stay tuned, in other words.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll certainly announce it if and when we do choose to shift over. So we have another question here. What's the name of the SQL standalone program that you were using to query the GeoPackage?
The standalone client is simply called DB Browser for SQL Lite. If I do a help menu and then about, you might get the URL to it. Let's see. Well,
SQLitebrowser.org.
There you go. About 3/4 of the way down the GUI there.
I should also take this moment to mention that Ivan will also be talking specifically about SQL tips and tricks for GIS. That's this Thursday, August 22nd, also at 11:30. So for a half hour, you can also tune in to join us more about SQL itself, learning how to use that to query things that you may have in a GeoPackage.
Yes, queries beyond the intro select star from where. I will be demonstrating on SQL just a little bit more in depth and getting into how to handle text, for example, that's not consistently formatted in the data that you're using.
Great. So it looks like we have maybe a few more minutes. If there's any other questions, do ask them now. Give it a second here to see if there's any last outstanding things.
If anyone out there is using the GeoPackage to conduct a project, if you have anything interesting that involves this data format, we would be interested in knowing about it. And if you have any ideas around use of GeoPackage, we would certainly be interested in knowing about that.
So along those lines, feel free to reach out to us, VCGI, following up on that, or just general questions about GeoPackage use moving forward. So again, thanks for your time. We will post this video again on our YouTube channel for future revisiting if need be. And if you're interested, join us again on Thursday the 22nd at 11:30 a.m. where we'll also talk about SQL tips and tricks for GIS. So have a good rest of your day. Thanks, Ivan.
Thank you all for tuning in.